Both teams coming in at 4-3 and meeting up for the 111th time in these programs' history. 1935, the state's governors bet a live pig on this series. The following season, they started playing for this 98-pound bronze statue of a pig. And Iowa lately has dominated things, especially here in Iowa City. They've not dropped one at home since 1999 and overall have won 12 of the last 16 matchups. Welcome inside. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Bruce Feldman joins us in a moment. And even though these teams are off to what I think both would consider a little bit disappointing starts at 4-3, these are the kinds of matchups that make college football special.
And you never forget them. As a player, you'll remember these matchups, these wins or losses for the rest of your life. As a fan, it's bragging rights for the rest of the year. And coaches, it's not just about on the field. They use it off the field on the recruiting trails. And Joe, I got to tell you, after talking to both staffs, a little bit of bad blood between these two coaching staffs.
Yeah, it's not taking long. You sense some clashing of cultures with P.J. Fleck taking over at Minnesota. Let's start with Iowa. So Josie Jewell missed last week, a 17-10 loss against Northwestern, and their All-American linebacker back this week. That's a big deal.
A huge deal. They really missed him last week versus Northwestern, trying to stop the running game, really the quarterback run game as well. And he's who I like to call Captain America. This guy can really do it all. He's the guy that they asked to basically be the quarterback of their defense, but you look at his ability, it's not only just stopping the run, he identifies and diagnoses what the plays are very quickly, and he's got the athleticism to adjust and able to make plays even in the passing game.
And really important this week when you look at what Minnesota does. They struggle to throw the football, but this three-headed rushing attack impressive.
And Minnesota's going to try to run the football because they've got quarterback Demry Croft, who's going into his first start on the road of the season. Tough environment here. They're going to hang their hat on the running game, try to look for some production there.
And Bruce Feldman down in the field as we get this one going.
Joe, sophomore Demry Croft made his first career start last week against Illinois. The Gophers won, but he really struggled. His footwork was all out of whack. Offensive coordinator Kirk Shiraka told me this week, we really worked hard to smooth out his footwork and design some things to help settle him down, and that should help with his accuracy. We also reminded him, hey, it's okay to take a sack this week. The other thing that they are curious about is how does he respond to this environment? It's a really tough place to play, and as they said, this is the best defense they've faced thus far this season.
Yeah, and he's trying to be the first quarterback to lead the Gophers to a win here since 1999. 38 degrees, and there is a pretty decent wind. He'll have it to his back to open this game up. Minnesota will kick it off. Iowa won the toss and chooses to receive it. 111th meeting between Iowa and Minnesota. Off we go from Iowa City. Ivory Kelly Martin, the freshman, brings it out and runs into one of his own men. Brought down just shy of the 20-yard line. So here comes Nate Stanley, sophomore from Menominee, Wisconsin, who won the job during fall camp and quietly is putting together a really solid first year as a starter.
And the things that stick out the most to me is, one, he's a good decision maker. Only has 3 interceptions on the season. You combine that with the fact that he's got 16 touchdowns. He's had the production without having to take too many risks. And they asked him to do a lot in their offense. You know, he's going to audible the plays at times, change routes, identify the middle linebacker, which will set up the run and pass blocking schemes.
They start from the 20. With a play action pass, he quickly gets rid of it. And out of the backfield comes T.J. Hawkinson. The tight end lowers the shoulder for a first down gain of 21 on the first play of the night.
Both these teams would like to establish the run game. They each know that. But in a rivalry game, understanding your opponent's tendencies, they come out with a boot. Catch Minnesota off guard for the big game.
In a lot of ways, the passing game for Iowa has probably even exceeded expectations with a new wide receiving group, new quarterback, new old coordinator. It's the running game that's been the problem. Back-to-back play action passes. Stanley zips one for a first down to Easley. Nick Easley cuts it into the open field. And a couple of big plays for the Hawkeyes to start. First 22, this one for 25.
Well, this Minnesota secondary has been beleaguered with injuries, and clearly Iowa wants to take advantage of some matchups on the outside. That's easily working against Duke McGee. He's a fifth-year senior, but not at the top of the depth chart. He's playing nickelback because they've kind of had to force to play some players in positions due to health and really due to lack of depth.
First down from the 33, and out of an empty set this time in the quick game, it's another completion to Noah Fant, who felt both ends of things at Northwestern on Saturday. Had their only touchdown, but then had a drop on fourth down that finished things in overtime.
The most reliable pass catcher Iowa has, and a very surprising drop, a catchable football from Nate Stanley. And unfortunately, that was the way the game ended for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
First run play of the day. Akrum Wadley, foot in the ground and close to a first down as Carter Coughlin stops him. There is a flag down back at the line of scrimmage.
That's what I'd like to see more from the Iowa rush offense, is their ability to try to get Wadley the ball on the outside. They didn't so much last week versus Northwestern.
Personal foul, hands to the face. Defense number 87. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
That's Nate Umler, the true freshman. That's been one of the things PJ Fleck's team has been pretty good at, is not committing penalties, but this one makes it a first down.
Back to the original point, though, you know, with the rushing attack, they've been running Wadley a lot in between the tackles, and I think he's most explosive when he gets to the outside and gets up against defenders in space. That's where he's so tough to tackle and so tough to bring down. I think they're going to try to get more of that in today's game.
Yeah, he carried it 26 times last week at Northwestern, 23 times between the tackles. Off the left side this time, slips a tackle and gets in for the Iowa touchdown. Just like that.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Akrum Wadley in space is one of the most difficult players to tackle in the Big Ten. A lot of praise goes to Saquon Barkley, but Wadley, when they get him the ball in the right way, he can really make some things happen.
Extra point knocked through by Miguel Reyes-Cinos. They go 80 yards in 5 plays. It takes less than 2.5 minutes for the senior out of Newark, New Jersey, to get in the end zone. The Hawkeyes off to a great start in the 111th meeting between Iowa and Minnesota. Akrum Wadley had the game-winning touchdown against Minnesota a year ago, and he's got a touchdown in the early going here for the first time this year. Iowa, where they score on the opening drive. It's been a slow starting offense all season, but in 5 plays they march it down and open the scoring. A short kick taken by Shannon Brooks, and he's crunched at the 22. Let's go back to that touchdown.
Well, the key in the running game is early. It's a numbers game, and what you'd like to do is isolate defenders. That's number 8, Duke McGee. You can see as Jackson blocks out, it basically helps to create a running lane for Wadley. And once he's one-on-one in space, good luck. Gives a little head fake there and gets by Duke McGee for the easy score.
And so now we get our first look at Minnesota's offense. Demry Croft, the redshirt sophomore, making his second career start. And as Bruce told you off at the top, hoping that it goes a whole lot better than the first one did. It's a first down run and a gain of 6 or 7 for Rodney Smith.
Rodney Smith, part of this 3-headed rushing attack for Minnesota. It's McCrary, Brooks. We'll see them all 3 rotate in, maybe all 3 in the game at the same time.
Back to Smith here, and no room to go in that middle part of the defense. They ran for almost 300 yards last week. Granted, that was against Illinois, and this Iowa defense pretty good, especially in that front 7.
We talked about the Iowa offensive line, their last drive, and some of the different moves that they've had to make up front, some youth up front. The Minnesota offensive line has had to deal with a bunch of different things for them as well. Not quite as much experience, but they've done a pretty good job.
Third down and 2. That play clock down to 5. Shannon Brooks has room for a first down. So we've now seen both Smith and Brooks out of that three-headed monster. That'll also include Kobe McCrary. And really, McCrary became part of the picture because Brooks missed last week with a leg injury, and McCrary took advantage of it. Brooks ready to go this week. Some great depth at that position.
And it takes off a lot of the pressure of quarterback Demry Croft. He's got a bunch of running backs who are going to be fresh and productive throughout the course of the game because of how they all share the carries.
He fakes to Brooks on first down, steps up in the pocket and takes off. For a gain of 4 with Jake Gervais making the stop, and a flag comes in late.
There is no foul on the play for a late hit.
All right, so they pick up the flag.
And I think that's fair. I mean, at that point, it looked like Croft kind of started to go down at the last second. Gervais lets up. He doesn't launch. There's no forcible intent. And that's what the officials are kind of burdened with having to figure out.
There have been more targeting calls this year than a year ago. Good to see them not put one on that play. Second down and 6.
And to give a shot at Wozniak. He's 6'10", matched up on a linebacker, Ben Neiman outside.
Croft looks in his direction, and it's incomplete. That's the second drop already for Minnesota.
Well, this is tough because you've got a tight end who really plays more in line, meaning right off of that offensive tackle. They don't split him out a ton. That's a very catchable ball. Got to help your quarterback out in that case. Look at the size, 6'10". I mean, there's no one on the field that's going to be able to cover him. It's like having a big man down low, just throw it up to him.
Tallest skill player in college football. Now with that drop, third down and 6.
This is Tyler Johnson time.
Croft floats one. There is Johnson going up and making the catch. Tyler Johnson having a breakout season for the Gophers, and here he's got 16.
And he's isolated. One-on-one versus number 5, Manny Rugamba. It's just a back shoulder, but you've got to be impressed with the timing of that and the ball placement by Croft. He puts it where the defender can't get it, and he allows his wide receiver the opportunity to high point the football and make the catch.
Johnson, a guy they think, even though he's having this great season, still just scratching the surface of what he can become. So the Gophers into Hawkeye territory for the first time. Croft looking short side. He's got Johnson again against Rugamba for a gain of 7.
The thing here is when they're under center, they run the ball almost 80% of the time. And I won't be surprised if not jet action sweeper.
And it is. They hand it off. Yeah, pushed out of bounds inside the 20 is Shannon Brooks. A lot of times you'll see both running backs or 2 of the 3 running backs on the field at the same time, and that was the case here with Brooks, the motion man. Third down and 2.
And they're going to continue to run that action and that play throughout the course of the game, because what it does is it isolates a defender and it makes them have to either play the run or the jet sweep, and you really can't be right, and you can see why they can get productive gains off of it.
Here's Brooks, and he's got a first down. So Shannon Brooks converts on 3rd and short for the second time on this drive. 1st and 10 of the 16.
We're going to probably see another dose of some of that running game from Minnesota. Once they get into the red zone, I mean, their tendency is just to run the football more so than any team in the Big Ten. And I would imagine that 80% run to pass in the red zone has got to be the highest tendency of any team in college football. Just a guess, but I think it's fair to say that.
Part of that is how many good running backs they have. Part of that is the issues they've had throwing the football. They got the jet sweep action, and they hand it to Brooks, who's brought down by Bo Bauer. Bo Bauer, one of those 3 3-year starters they have at linebacker with Neiman and Jewell. said this week that he'd rather play for a real pig than the bronze statue like they did in 1935.
Well, who is it? Did PJ Fleck say he brought a real pig to practice this week?
Trying to educate his guys on the history of the rivalry.
It goes to show you last week the Iowa linebacker group struggled a little bit with Jewell out because they had to play different positions. Now they're all back to their normal spots, more confident at those positions.
They fake inside and throw it to Johnson, but it's jarred out of there by Gervais. The third drop Minnesota's had. Granted, pretty nice play by Gervais out of the secondary.
Maybe a half second late. Maybe could have got it to Tyler Johnson a little bit quicker off of the fake, which allowed Gervais to come into play. But it's just an RPO. They've got the run pass option. He elects to throw to Johnson, leading him into the middle of the field defender. But if you got it to him sooner, I think Johnson probably makes that catch. There's Wozniak, top of the screen.
Croft in trouble. Finds a man. It's Smith out of the backfield. He's close to a first down. Croft just barely gets rid of it in time, and Smith takes it close to the marker. That's what Demry Croft was doing against Michigan State when he earned himself the starting job.
It'll be fourth down. We'll reset the chains, put him at the 6.
All right, but like you said, Minnesota perfectly comfortable in this spot.
Yeah, no surprise, rivalry game, night game on the road. If you're PJ Fleck, why not? You've been successful throughout the course of the game. 3 of 5 on third down.
Fourth down and inches for the Gophers. And they put Croft in the gun. It's a play-action pass. Wozniak has it sail over his head. He's 6'10", and Croft still put it over his head as he staggered backwards, and they turn it over on downs.
I mean, this is as good of a play call as you're going to get. See how he's located right here. Excuse me. There we go. And look at him. He does his job. He sells the run, then he releases. He's just got to keep running. If he keeps running to that football, there's no doubt it's going to drop right in his arms. He settles at the goal line instead. Ends up making it much more difficult on himself. And good job by Ben Neiman being able to get back, but missed opportunity there for Minnesota.
You asked PJ Fleck yesterday, did he ever just want to just throw it up to him, close your eyes and throw it up? I mean, he's 6'10", and Coach Fleck smiled and said, yeah, we've done that and we've talked about doing it more. They tried it, but it didn't work. So Nate Stanley and the Hawkeyes take over at their own 7 and begin with a pass. Down the sideline, it's Samir Smith-Marset off his hands and intercepted by Jacob Huff.
Unbelievable. And this is exactly what you'd want if you're Iowa, until Smith-Marset somehow, I don't know if that somehow got caught up maybe in the lights as he looked back. And what a play by Jacob Huff just to get back, to even be close to picking this off. And I don't know. It looked like he might have used the ground to aid him in getting possession of the football. It was called an interception, though, so it has to be indisputable to overturn it.
And in Minnesota has its first takeaway of the day. First down to the 48-yard line. Croft pumps short. Now takes his eyes down and runs back to the line of scrimmage. Stop made by Cedric Lattimore.
Nowhere for Croft to go with the football. Iowa brought a blitz off that side. He wanted to try to utilize the pass option on that play. But at that point, kind of had to eat it, pick up what he could.
We got a game break coming for you in a moment here that if you turn the channel to this game from Ohio State, Penn State, probably going to shock you. Toss it to the edge. Rodney Smith has room and a first down up to the 35-yard line. Again, they work it outside. Rodney Smith, room to run once again. Another first down up to the 26.
You can see what the plan is for Minnesota. Clearly, they want to get the running backs on the edge a little bit more space. That's where they feel like they've got the advantage. Iowa's done such a good job up the middle, stopping a lot of the Minnesota run game thus far.
Now Brooks comes in. Minnesota's already run for 50 yards on 11 carries. On the out, Johnson's got it. Tyler Johnson inside the 20 with a stop from Bo Bauer, and it's 2nd down and 3.
Well, the interesting thing is that Iowa doesn't match personnel, meaning when Minnesota brings in 3 wide receivers, for example, typically if you're a defense, you bring in a nickel back, you bring in an additional secondary player, defensive back. Iowa's not doing that. They're electing to play base personnel. I'm assuming to try to stop the run, but what they're doing is they're giving up an advantage to Minnesota as far as the wide receivers and the mismatches on their linebackers on the outside.
Here's Brooks fighting his way through tackles for a 1st down.
Look at all 3 of these running backs for Minnesota. They're all pretty well put together. I mean, down there on the field before the game, I mean, they spend a lot of time in the weight room. These guys all have very strong upper, lower bodies, a lot of drive to them, very physical runners.
In the case of Brooks, he's a junior from Atlanta. He's been a part of the rotation all 3 years he's been at Minnesota. Stays in there for 1st and 10 from the 14. Croft looking end zone, lets it fly. It is picked off. Jake Gervais after Josh Jackson stuck his hand in.
One of the best cornerbacks in the country, Josh Jackson, getting his hand in on the football. And they had an opportunity here if you're Minnesota. Still one-on-one isolated, but Jackson breaks on the ball, is able to tip it to Gervais. What a play by Josh Jackson. He almost punches the ball back towards Gervais.
Number 1 in the Big Ten in pass breakups. And he gets Gervais an interception here. So both teams with a deflected interception on consecutive drives. And in the closing seconds of this 1st quarter, 1st down from the 20. Akrum Wadley. Duke McGee brings him down. 1st quarter clock winding down.
Got the best tradition in college football, in my opinion, coming up here in a few seconds.
Wasn't it amazing? As the sun was setting, it was the first time we saw the sun all day today. It broke through the clouds and was hitting the top of the Children's Hospital, nothing else. Holds it easily, and he's shut down by Kunle Allende to bring this 1st quarter to a close. And we will take it through this whole tradition when we come back from this break. And just a moment ago, 70,000 or so fans inside here waving to the kids and their families inside the Children's Hospital up on the 12th floor, the newly constructed Stead Family Children's Hospital. And you don't see it in these shots, but the entire Minnesota roster walked out towards midfield between the hash marks where they could see up to the 12th floor, and they participated in the wave. 7-0 through with a quarter. 111th meeting between these border rivals as Nate Stanley and the Hawkeye offense has it 3rd down and 6. Stanley well protected, but it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Gary Moore got his hand on it, and 4th down coming up.
You can't say enough about the job that the Minnesota defensive front has really done this year on defense. I mean, these guys, if they don't get to the quarterback, they're well coached. They know to get their hands up, bat down the football. You see them do that throughout the course of the season.
It's been a pretty good defense. I mean, top 25 scoring defense, coming off one of their best games. Held Illinois to under 300 yards in that 24-17 win last week. This time he gets off a good one. And a fair catch taken. The ball comes out, and it appears that Drew Himalaski got back on top of it. He did. There is another flag. This one down around where the catch was made.
During the kick, illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 84. 10 yards from the end of the kick. First down, Minnesota.
All right, so that'll move them back a few. And before this drive starts, we bring in Bruce Feldman.
Guys, one of the fans in the stadium today with a real special connection to the wave is 12-year-old Caden Kelso. That's him right there waving. Caden was recently diagnosed as cancer-free. He's from Newton, Iowa, and was in the press box actually at the Children's Hospital for the Penn State game. He had a rare form of lung cancer, underwent surgery, and we're proud to say that he's here today. It's a really awesome thing that he's been able to come to the game today.
How cool is that? Thank you, Bruce. First down and 10 from the 26-yard line. Croft back to throw. Incomplete, out in front of Shannon Brooks. You made the point before the game we were talking about it. Don't you kind of want to be calm?
For some positions.
Right.
You know, our producer, Bo Garrett, brought it up that, look, if you're on defense, you probably don't want to be calm and fired up. But if you're a quarterback, yeah, I think we were both quarterbacks. You'd like to be calm, and
Sure.
other players as well. You don't want to let those nerves get to you too much.
Demry Croft, the numbers almost identical to what he did through the full game last week, but he's been hurt by some drops.
Comes that jet sweep action.
From Shannon Brooks. He takes it. Trying to find a seam. And stays on his feet for a first down across the 40. Shannon Brooks on a gain of 16, running that jet sweep that they run as much as anybody.
And it's about as predictable as it gets as far as looking at their formation and alignment and when they're under center. Because that's basically the only time they run is when they're under center. Now, they're going to build some things off of that. They've got a boot off of that action as well, besides the direct run and the jet sweep. But if you're Iowa, the toughest part about it is they basically allow one free defender who's unblocked. And he's either got to stay inside for the inside zone run, or you'll be able to get outside contained for the jet sweep. He can't be right.
Back into the gun for first down here. They flip it outside to Kobe McCrary, who comes downhill with that 240-pound frame, crashing his way to the 49 for a gain of 7. Breakout game last week. 153 yards, more than doubling his season total.
He's the bruiser. You bring him in, he kind of changes the dynamics of how the running game really goes. Physical running back, the Butler Community College transfer. A nice addition to Minnesota.
On 2nd and 3, Croft well protected. Floats one for Johnson, but incomplete. With the coverage coming from Manny Rugamba. 3rd and 3.
Trying to isolate him on Rugamba running a post corner. Rugamba did a good job of staying with him step for step. Got a little tangled up at the top of it. You can see Tyler Johnson diving for the football at the end. He couldn't quite keep his feet.
Gophers 3 for 6 on 3rd down so far. Croft retreating, floating out of bounds, and he's 0 for his last 8 with that throwaway.
Really didn't like the route concept. Iowa was playing man-to-man defense, and he only had one guy who really could win. Just running a corner route, looking downfield for Philip Howard. Good coverage by the Iowa secondary, but you got to give your quarterback more than just one option in that case.
Ryan Santoso's a big fella. 6'6", 258. He has the big leg to match, leading the Big Ten, averaging more than 40 yards a pop. Early fair catch signaled by Matt Vandenberg, and Iowa will have it at its own 17-yard line, trying to recapture what they had on that opening drive when they went 80 yards in 5 plays. Nothing doing since. Hey, Stanley hit his first 4 throws, but he's 1 for 5 since. And Iowa's offense has slowed down right along with him. An 80-yard touchdown drive to start, but nothing since then.
Yeah, the Minnesota defense has done a good job making in-game adjustments. Credit the defensive line. The Minnesota defensive line, in particular, interior guys, Merrick Jackson, you see Steven Richardson. Those guys have helped keep some of the offensive linemen of getting on Thomas Barber and Jonathan Celestine.
Smith-Marsette has room and a first down up to the 39. Giving Minnesota a little bit of its own medicine running that jet sweep.
When Smith-Marsette is the most dynamic player besides Wadley on the Iowa offense, you can see his legitimate speed. Look at Stanley timing up the snap to get it to Smith-Marsette. And once he gets out in open space, he's going to beat a lot of people in a foot race.
This is a guy that had originally committed to Minnesota and flipped the week before signing day. It's a first down pass play. Stanley double clutches and zips one for a first down. Nick Easley's got it for a gain of 12 into Gopher territory. Quickly back in the ball, and now they go to the ground, and Butler's drilled in the backfield by Kamal Martin. Steven Richardson was there as well, and it's second and long.
At some point, you'd like to see them get Fant involved or Smith-Marsette. Probably the 2 most explosive receivers.
Smith-Marsette one-on-one coverage to the top of the screen, and Stanley wanted to go in that direction, able to stay on his feet over the head of Vandenberg. Now, first he was looking in Smith-Marsette's direction, but the pressure forced him to improvise, and somehow he kept it alive.
I said he was slick earlier. This time it looks like he's a magician. I don't know how his knee doesn't hit down, and the key is his elbow or forearm didn't touch. He just put his hand down on the ground. That's allowed. So he keeps his feet. Look at that. Still keeps his eyes downfield too. I mean, he does some things that I don't think he gets enough credit for how he's been as a first-year starter at the quarterback position for Iowa.
Akrum Wadley back from the locker room. Good sign for Iowa. But a 3rd down and 12 here. They're yet to convert on 3rd down today. Dumps it off, and Butler's got room for a first down. And keeps the legs turning to the 21. Looked like that ball came out. Ken Handy Holly ripped it out of there. The question is, was he marked down first?
And credit the Minnesota defense, because one of the things that PJ Fleck talks about is rallying to the football. When you have high effort and everyone's running the ball, you can do that. And it looks like that indeed was coming out before his body hit the ground. And this is reviewable as far as not only if it was a fumble, but who then retained possession. That was pretty evident that it was Minnesota.
Kirk Ferentz, 19 years, sustained excellence here.
After review, the runner was not down. There was a fumble recovered by the defense. It'll be Minnesota's ball, 1st and 10 on the 21-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 44 seconds. 4-4.
Pretty clearly the ball was ripped out of there before he hit the ground. 44 seconds, no timeouts. Let's see what Minnesota wants to try to do.
They get the ball out of half. I wouldn't imagine they'll do much more than run the football.
Rodney Smith on 1st down, breaks 1 tackle and another. Yeah, gets 7 or 8. It's been an impressive half for him. He's crossing 50 yards while sharing the load with a couple of other backs.
If you're Minnesota, you got to feel pretty good about where you are in this game. They've had a lot of drops on offense, more in the passing game. They ran the football pretty effectively so far. Already over 100 yards in today's game. This is a very good Iowa defense.
They do not have to snap it again. So this first half is going to come to a close with a 7-0 score. Looked like it could be quite a bit of offense. So the first drive was any indication. Iowa went 80 yards in 2.5 minutes. Well, that's all for them, and nothing doing for Minnesota. Shut out in the first half for the first time since last year's matchup against their border rival. Let's get you to Mike Hill and Petros Papadakis in LA for the State Farm halftime show. Getting ready to start the second half here in Iowa City. 7-0 game. Iowa's in front. They went 80 yards in 5 plays for a touchdown to open the game, but not a whole lot doing since then. They get ready to start half number 2. Joe Davis and Brady Quinn, and it's been a defensive game so far.
A defensive game. There's been some missed opportunities as well. When you look at Minnesota's offense, a number of drops in the first half by the wide receivers and tight ends for Minnesota. I think that's hurt them a little bit, and more penalties than I think we're accustomed to seeing from both of these teams. Usually pretty good at being able to keep some of the laundry off the field.
And Minnesota will have it to open this second half. Miguel Recinos sends it away. Here comes Shannon Brooks. Yeah, and he's toppled at the 18-yard line. We go down to Bruce Feldman.
Guys, P.J. Fleck loved what he saw from his defense, especially the fight and getting the turnovers. He said he was actually encouraged by what he saw from the offense, even though they have no points. He said guys are getting open downfield, and he thinks Demry Croft has played a lot better this week than last week. On the other side, Kirk Ferentz not happy about the turnovers, also very frustrated by the penalties. He goes, we just got to play better. We got to focus on these details and get it right.
Yeah, and you mentioned what Coach Fleck said about Demry Croft. He's certainly been better than his 5 of 18 line would tell you. A lot of the drops have contributed to that. And he's kept some plays alive. Minnesota's moved the ball. They've just not been able to capitalize. Here comes Rodney Smith. More than 50 yards on 8 carries in that first half for the junior captain. His top 10 in Minnesota history all time with more than 2,300 yards.
One of the biggest differences you've seen so far from Demry Croft tonight, as compared to a week ago in his first start of his career, is he just seemed much more poised. They talk about his feet, trying to have much more calmer feet in the pocket. It seems like he's much more confident in the game plan they have for him this week.
Another run play. Rodney Smith stacked up this time. And the staff said what they learned in watching him last week make that first start is largely what they build the plan around this week, trying to play to the strengths of Croft in just his second career start.
That was something that P.J. Fleck noted was, look, we're each kind of learning each other. We're learning just as much about Demry Croft as he is about us, as far as how we feel confident in him and what kind of play calling is going to happen in the course of a game.
Opening drive of the second half, and it's 3rd and 2. Croft looks to throw. Back shoulder. Johnson has it knocked away by Josh Jackson, who has been everywhere for Iowa in the secondary today.
And if you'll remember, in the first half, there was a big completion to Tyler Johnson on a back shoulder. The difference, Rugumbo was that cornerback. This time, Josh Jackson, kind of give him the Dikembe Mutombo there. He's so good at staying with a wide receiver, but then what he does better than a lot of other cornerbacks is he turns back, finds the football, and makes a play on it.
Matt Vandenberg will have a shot at this one. Quickly ripped down. Special teams tackle from Blake Cashman. And Iowa's offense will have it for the first time in the second half after this. Iowa trying to get things kick-started on offense. They've got it for the first time in this second half, and they have Akrum Wadley back in the game. We saw him leave the field and back to the locker room towards the end of the first half after he took a big hit along the sideline. After he carried it 26 times in the loss against Northwestern, only 6 touches in the first half tonight. Here's his 7th. And it's swallowed in the backfield by Duke McGee, the safety for the Gophers. It's a loss of 3, and it's 2nd down and 13.
And that is a heck of a play by Duke McGee, because you had T.J. Hawkinson leading out on him. Or excuse me, it's number 36, Brady Ross, their fullback. And not only does he take him on, but he uses the proper shoulder. See how he uses his right shoulder and stays to the outside? It forces Wadley back inside to where he has help. That's a safety doing that on a fullback. Pretty impressive.
Back-to-back runs to Wadley into the short side of the field. Only gets a couple on this one. Third down and long, and some boos raining down from this Kinnick Stadium crowd.
Well, this is that conservative part of the offense for Iowa that I think Brian Ferentz, their offensive coordinators, taking some heat or criticism for. I think people want to see them open it up a little bit more, throw more on first and second down, and not get into that run-pass mode. Now at 3rd and 10, you have to throw the football.
Well, you think this rivalry means anything to him? Talking to him yesterday. He was lighting up talking about it. Played in it. The early 2000s. 3rd and 10. Stanley against pressure. Finds an open man for a first down. It's Matt Vandenberg. It was wide open for a gain of 12. Kind of a sarcastic cheer from the crowd.
This is great stuff. Watch what the defense does. They roll to a cover 2. They're going to drop out here, and you see Vandenberg kind of find the soft spot in the zone. That's just a great job by Nate Stanley, understanding what the defense is trying to do and knowing where the weaknesses are.
First time he's found Vandenberg today. That's a 27th consecutive game Vandenberg's had a reception now. Back to the ground, and Wadley steps out of a tackle and has a first down into Minnesota territory.
We saw that play 3 plays ago, right? Duke McGee blew it up, didn't allow Wadley to get to the outside. This time, the offensive line executed better. Brady Ross did a good job leading up, and you see the end result. So as much as people want to be frustrated sometimes with there being a no gain or a loss of 1 with that play, when you stick with it, eventually it's going to work.
And really, the ground game's been pretty good today, averaging close to 6 yards per carry. From the 45. Play action. Stanley sets. Eyes downfield. Noah Fant gets behind the defense. Touchdown, Iowa. Perfectly thrown 45 yards from Stanley.
And that is exactly what having a run game does for you. It opens up the play action pass. And you're going to see Noah Fant come all the way across the field. They clear it out. And it's after the little play action fake. And if you notice, Stanley kind of reverses a couple fakes, turns around. And this is what allows Fant to basically run open to space. Stanley with great trajectory on the football. It allows Fant to be able to run to it, make the easy catch, and touchdown.
And so their first drive of the second half, a little bit like their first drive of the game. A touchdown in short order.
How's that for a conservative play call?
Over the top of the score. 67 yards in 5 plays in less than 2.5 minutes to do it. And Fant, who had heartbreak to finish last week, has a touchdown to start the second half this week. Back-to-back weeks with a touchdown catch for Noah Fant. This one goes for 45 yards, his 5th of the season, and Iowa's doubled the lead.
It's Fant in between Cook and Coons. See the steam coming off his head. Just wonder how Bruce Feldman's doing down there on the sideline. It's gotten cold here.
He's got a beanie on. I know that. I would too. Shannon Brooks out across the 20. The 22-yard line, Demry Croft in this Gopher offense. Shannon Brooks with room off the left side. And thrown down after he gets 6 or 7 by Jake Gervais.
Brooks looks a little shaken up by the way he went down, and as he leaves the field, clearly you can see something's not right.
Kobe McCreary comes in for him.
This Minnesota offense has got to get something going. And they're going to have to get it going in the passing game. And you see Croft under center. Means we're probably going to see some sort of jet sweep action.
Here it comes from Rodney Smith. He takes it and cuts it upfield. Getting close to a first down, but Josie Jewell was all over him. Big Ten's leading tackler, even though he missed last week, still leading the conference in tackles.
So this is the play. It's going to be on the backside here, but watch Jewell. He's going to be the player that they kind of put in a little bit of a predicament as it plays out. It looks like they're hurrying the football.
Yeah, and they get a first down with McCrary.
But what they're trying to do is they basically put a player in conflict. He's got to decide whether or not they're going to stop the inside run or be able to fill and keep contain on that jet sweep. And Iowa clearly made an adjustment at halftime because they played the jet sweep much better a couple plays ago.
And Phil Parker, the D coordinator, one of his biggest concerns wasn't necessarily stopping the jet sweep. It's the communication that forces you to have. And he worried about giving a big play up over the top with a breakdown in communication. Fake the jet sweep and boot Croft. He'll tuck it and run across the 40. Or he's stopped by Amani Hooker.
Talk with the coaching staff at Minnesota. They want to simplify things for Croft. One of the ways you do that is you just basically build in boots, where when you get outside the pocket, you've only got a couple options. It's either throw the football to maybe one or two guys, or you're going to run and keep the football. That helps simplify things. You play faster, and when you play faster, you play more confidently.
Second career start. The sophomore from Rockford, Illinois. Played just a few games of mop-up duty prior to this season. Hands it off to McCrary, who explodes for a first down to the 31. Ben Neiman with a stop. Now Minnesota's got a fresh set of downs trying to cut into this deficit late in the third quarter.
Look, there's plenty of time left in this ball game, but it just seems like Iowa's had all the momentum. You got great field position. You have to seize this opportunity at the moment. Come away with points in some fashion on this drive. Here comes the jet sweep.
It'll come from Rodney Smith. Straight downhill, McCrary. Into the arms of Matt Nelson on a short game. We had that game last year in Lubbock, and it looked a little bit like that for the entire 60 minutes.
Over 800 yards of offense for each team. It's like a 4-hour game.
1,700 yards of offense total. Our statman Barry Allen reminds us. They dump it off to McCrary out of the backfield for a first down inside the Iowa 20.
You can see Croft utilize a little pump action at the beginning. And he's just able to use a little touch to get over Ben Neiman. I'd say it's not on Croft. I mean, statistically, it looks ugly. But he has not played that way in the passing game. He was giving his guys opportunities to catch the football. Get down to the red zone. This is where they're really going to run the football.
Mark Williams takes the fake, and McCrary takes the ball into the teeth of the defense for a yard. They got down here in one of their first drives of the day and turned it over on downs. They had a beautifully designed throw for the tight end Wozniak, but stopped running, tried to backpedal and reach up to catch it, and sailed over his head.
And the tough part is they really haven't gone back to Wozniak. And then they should because of his size advantage. I mean, you got to instill confidence in your players. But just because you drop one or you don't make a play early on doesn't mean you can't come back to him and give him another opportunity.
On 2nd and 9, Philip Howard this time comes in motion. Croft on the boot, turns the shoulders, and there's Wozniak. First down and goal, Minnesota. So they finally go back to the big man, and this time he makes the grab.
A well-designed play. This is something Minnesota hasn't shown all year. We saw the jet sweep action, but it's the boot off of it. You can see Wozniak working across a middle cross, and if it's a better ball, he probably catches it and runs into the end zone. Or if he's not 6'10", right? If he's 6'2", it's an easier catch, and maybe he keeps his feet.
Chest high, not knee high. That does it for this third quarter. Iowa's in front 14-0, but the Gophers will have it first down and goal as PJ Fleck's team tries to come up with a win in this rivalry game. The battle for the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy on to the fourth quarter in Iowa City. Start of the fourth quarter, Minnesota knocking on the door. 14-0 Iowa. The Gophers have it first and goal. Rodney Smith sticks the shoulder down to the goal line, and they spot him down inside the 1. Josie Jewell with a stop, clearly playing through pain. Second and goal. Minnesota hustles to the line. McCrary hurdles his way. He's in for the Minnesota touchdown. They finally break through the opening stages of this fourth quarter, and it's a 14-6 game.
And huge momentum for Minnesota. We talked about it at the beginning of this drive. They had great field position. They needed to come away with points. Right there, they're able to capitalize with McCrary going over the top.
It's a moot point now, but I wasn't sure that Rodney Smith didn't stay on top of the defender and get in on the first down kill. Minnesota hustles up to the line of scrimmage and makes it a distant memory. So Kobe McCrary, who burst onto the scene with a breakout game last week, has Minnesota on the board. We got a heck of a fourth quarter coming. Floyd of Rosedale is inside there. Take it out of the trophy case early in the week. Put it in the Iowa weight room. And then pack it away and hide it for a few days before it reemerges here at the start of the fourth quarter. Goes back to the 1930s. We started playing with that 98-pound bronze statue. It's a short kick taken to the 10-yard line by Ivory Kelly Martin. And the freshman is thrown down to the 28. 10.5 left to go in this rivalry game, and we go down to Bruce Feldman.
Guys, how much does P.J. Fleck want to win this first Floyd of Rosedale game? On those white Nikes he's got, it's scrawled in gold the word hog on each side of his shoes.
He said that he knew some about this rivalry growing up in the Chicago area and playing college football video games back in the day. Used to have something where you could play for every trophy, and he remembers playing for this one.
I think Kirk Ferentz was playing video games back when he was a kid, probably.
Doubtful. Some Atari. No, that's giving him a little too much age credit. They roll Stanley. Zips it sidearm for Easley and fits it into a tight window for a gain of 8.
This thing had a vapor trail on it. I mean, when Stanley got to the outside, he's got all his body momentum into this, but look at him just uncork one to Easley. Well thrown football.
Stanley today just above 50%. Smith-Marset in motion. And Butler knifes his way for close to a first down with Thomas Barber making the stop. And it appears they do give him enough for an Iowa first down. That is the first down for them since the touchdown drive to open this half.
And this is a big drive, I think, for Iowa if you want to close out this football game. The Minnesota offense really hasn't been able to put much together besides one drive capitalizing off of good field position. You want to close out this football game. This is a big drive. We've got to come away with some points.
Out of the eye on first down. Stanley evades one rusher. Hit as he throws downfield. Incomplete. Wanted Smith-Marset. The flags fly. Justice Harris in coverage. And flags all over the place.
Pass interference. Defense number 26. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
I'm just so impressed with Nate Stanley's ability to move in the pocket. They brought a corner blitz and allowed an additional rusher and forced Stanley up in the pocket. But look at this. Slides over, slides up. Is able to still keep his eyes downfield and give Smith-Marset an opportunity. And clearly, Justice Harris was impeding Smith-Marset's ability to make a play on that football.
Well, that looked like a pocket awareness drill. Throwing dummies at him.
Dummies and all that, yeah.
P.J. Fleck not happy with this penalty that moves it into Minnesota territory. On first down, Butler. Tackled by Coughlin, but finished forward. That's what the Iowa staff was excited about seeing from James Butler. They thought that he could bring kind of a spark psychologically for this offense and how he does always finish forward.
He's about 20 pounds heavier than Akrum Wadley. I think he's kind of the better tackle runner, really. When you look at him being a little bit more stout in size, has a low center of gravity. Always seems to fall forward.
2nd and 5, give it to him again. This time met in the hole by Thomas Barber, 3rd down.
Just listen when you're up at the line of scrimmage. Listen to everything that Nate Stanley's saying besides the cadence. He's telling the O-line who they're going to. He's identifying that middle linebacker. Sets up all the blocking schemes. Does such a good job of managing this offense.
He's been particularly good late in games this year.
It's not only late in games, it's pressure too. He's got 6 touchdowns, no interceptions versus blitzes this year. So it's late in games and crucial times, but in those pressure moments, he steps up.
3rd down and 3. They roll him to his left. He turns his shoulders, delivers a strike to Smith-Marset for a 1st down.
I mean, this is about as good as it gets. For a right-handed quarterback to be able to roll out to your left, turn your body and your shoulders over to deliver an accurate throw on an out route, it's tough to do.
Today. A toss to James Butler. And a gain of 7.
It's not very often you see a center that can pull on a toss sweep like that. A guy like James Daniels, number 78, who's 6'4", 295 pounds, right here. And watch him get out and run and help pave the way for Butler. I mean, just most guys don't have the ability to do that at his size and at the center position. It's incredibly difficult. He's a good athlete.
2nd down, Butler again. Up to the gun of the defense, 1st down.
And you talked about it earlier in the game, Joe. And this is one of the best or the best offensive line last year in college football. And they've done a good job of being able to coach these guys up.
Heavy dose of James Butler on this drive. This one is shut down at the line of scrimmage by Celestine.
They've coached these guys up and got them prepared and ready to handle a lot of what I would call more difficult run blocking schemes that Iowa runs.
Jackson and Wirfs, the 2 freshmen that have stepped in at tackle with Myers and Butker both out. Growing on the job.
Jackson, a basketball player in high school. Iowa coaching staff loves finding athletes, guys that can come in, they can help grow into the size and strength they want on the offensive line.
Stanley looking downfield. Instead, will check it down. And on a day where he's delivered several blocks, Brady Ross gets to touch the rock. And has a gain of 4 or 5. It'll be 3rd down. So we move through this 4th quarter. For Kirk Ferentz's teams have always been good. Really good this season. 2nd best differential in the 4th quarter in the country.
Talked about before, this is where you can really close out this game. It's a big 3rd down in the context of this drive. Wondering if Noah Fant gets involved.
Motions across the formation. They go the other way. It's off of Hawkinson's fingertips.
You don't see that very often. TJ Hawkinson typically has pretty solid hands. He's right there on your screen. He's going to slip out. He's got to step on Huff. And again, well-thrown football. Got to be able to bring that in. We've seen a number of drops tonight by both teams, wide receivers, tight ends. This is kind of one of the first colder games I think both teams have probably experienced. Always plays a little bit of a factor. That ball hits your hands, feels that much harder, hard to catch.
Miguel Recinos. Just through the upright. And gives Iowa a 2-score lead with 5:34 left. Back to Kinnick Stadium in 30 seconds. It's been boom or bust today for the Iowa offense. All but 1 first down that they've recorded have come on the scoring drive. So it's pretty much been a scoring drive or a 3 and out. Gophers running out of time in this one. 5:34 left to go in a 17-7 game. Rodney Smith back to return this kick. trampled crossing the 20. 19th season as the head man.
That's the thing. You look at this Iowa program, they know their identity. It's been the same way a long time. Hayden Fry to Kirk Ferentz.
Croft throwing the corner out, and there's Tyler Johnson making a move into the open field. Johnson in a foot race is inside the 20. Biggest play of the day for the Minnesota offense, travels 67 yards.
So here's Johnson, here's Jackson. He's going to run a post corner. Watch as Jackson is able to make a touchdown saving tackle. Well thrown ball, nice route by Johnson. Look at the yards after the catch. That's what makes him so explosive. Jackson able to hawk him down at the end of that play.
From the 15, inside 5 minutes. Croft pumps one way and heads the other. Close it out of the back of the end zone, second down. Josie Jewell with the pressure. Second down, 10, 4:47 left.
You can see PJ Fleck on the sideline was literally coaching up Demry Croft. I mean, that's what this is right now. For a player on his only second start of his career, you know, PJ Fleck and Demry Croft are still kind of learning about each other. And he's learning a lot right now about his quarterback.
He was so good in the fourth quarter against Michigan State 2 games ago. Can he lead them back here? On second down, he's got all day. He floats for the end zone. It is incomplete. With the coverage from Manny Rugamba, he looked for Rashad Still, who the staff was hopeful could have a big night. First time he's been targeted, 3rd and 10.
Came back to that post corner route, ran out of room. Ball's got to get up a lot sooner. As you look at Croft, ball's got to leave now. If you wait that long, it's going to end up going out of bounds because you're not leaving your wide receiver any room to get a foot in bounds and possess the football. Now who do they go to? Well, Tyler Johnson's been their go-to guy. He's at the bottom of the screen.
Out of the timeout, they choose a pass play. Croft rolling to his right. Throws to the end zone. It is incomplete with a flag down. Amani Hooker in coverage.
And this was the same exact play they ran on first down and threw incomplete. Came right back to it. You saw PJ Fleck coaching up Croft on it. Came right back to it this time.
Holding. Offense, number 86. Penalties declined. 4th down.
So they decline the penalty, make it 4th down, and send Emmett Carpenter out for the field goal.
So here's Lincoln, but this is the route combination. They're going to clear out up top. They're basically going to run deep out route by number 8, Mark Williams. Oh, just a bit too high. That's good coverage by Amani Hooker, number 27. Wouldn't have mattered in that case.
Carpenter from 33. Right down the middle. And a nice shot by Jacob Herbers, the holder, to pick that one off of the ground and put it down. It's a 1-score game inside 5 minutes. First play for Floyd of Rosedale in 1935. For that first year, it was a real pig. The product of a bet between the state's governors at the time. Minnesota won that first game 13-6 and are out to a 2nd consecutive national title. And they actually took home a wooden cutout of a pig. They didn't have the real pig at the game. It wasn't until about a week after that that they delivered the prized hog. It was from Rosedale Farms near Fort Dodge, Iowa. So that's where you get the Rosedale part of the name. And Minnesota's governor, the winning governor that year, was Floyd Olson. So Floyd of Rosedale. They created the statue. An artist from St. Paul, Minnesota, designed it the following year. They've given it away since. This one's dropped by the freshman Ivory Kelly Martin. Picks it back up and runs along the sideline to the 28. We go down to Bruce.
Guys, Kirk Ferentz admits he really didn't get all this Floyd of Rosedale stuff when he first got here from Pittsburgh back in 1981 when he was on Hayden Fry's staff. He was like, those trophies seem silly. A ball of cheese, a pig, whatever. You know, Farron said the first game he played in, it was a national game of the week, and he said our team was so tight, we lose 12-10, and he said he started to grasp it when all of a sudden he saw the Minnesota players aggressively coming towards him to get the trophy. He goes, at that point it was like, whoa, it started to sink in about what this deal really means.
Yeah, the beginning of his tenure on Fry's staff. And this week he showed his team a video compilation of those field stormings. Stanley will keep it and run out of bounds, stopping the clock at 4:15.
Yeah, and that was the biggest key there. If you're Nate Stanley, I know it's your first year as a starting quarterback, but you've got enough experience now where you got to know you just slide and stay in bounds because you don't want to leave Minnesota any additional time.
Again, today it's been either scoring drives or 3 and outs, almost exclusively. 2 long touchdown drives, a field goal their last time. And on 2nd down and 8, they go to the short side of the field. Akrum Wadley sticks his nose down into the chest of Thomas Barber. A short gain, 3rd down, and a timeout for Minnesota. 3:47 to go. Big 3rd down coming up. Stanley today 14 of 26. He's thrown for a touchdown. He's thrown an interception. You're looking at a big 3rd down.
Like easily in this case. Typically like to release him down on like a little angle route.
And motion him to the other side of the formation. Looking at his direction. Comes back to his second read. It's Noah Fant. Got all the way through his progression and delivered a strike to midfield for 16.
This is just called a drive concept. You're going to get Smith-Marset coming across, and Fant's going to release up. He's really the 3rd read in Nate Stanley's progression. Watch him go left, work back through, find Fant on the backside. Talked about it. That's just high-level football by Nate Stanley. He's had, honestly, one of the more underestimated solid years for any quarterback in the Big Ten right now.
17 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. Big completion to Fant here. On 1st down, here comes Wadley for a gain of 3 or 4. Only 1 timeout left for Minnesota as the clock hits 3 minutes.
And look at the interception tonight. I mean, he threw a good ball to Smith-Marset, and it bounces off his chest right to a Minnesota defender. So even within the 4 that he's thrown, I mean, go back through. He throws very catchable balls. He's accurate, good decision maker. Always gives Iowa a chance.
Son of a longtime high school coach. He's always been around the game. The staff has loved the way that he has, in some of those tough moments where there have been interceptions and losses, the way he's bounced back immediately each time. 2nd and 6. Wadley stopped after 2 by Celestine, and Minnesota uses its final timeout. Out of the eye on 3rd and 3. And Butler gets blown up in the backfield. Several white shirts rally to shut it down. He lost 2, and it's 4th down. Steven Richardson bullied his way into the Iowa backfield, and that play never could get going.
The senior out of Chicago, Illinois. Watch him fire off the football and just blow. It's number 69, Keegan Render, pulling off the football. I mean, that play had no chance with Richardson getting in the backfield that quick.
Drew Hemilaski goes back to return this punt from Colton Rastetter. Picks it up at the 10 off of bounds. Great kick coverage from Iowa. And so from the 15-yard line, they need to go 85 yards in a minute 21 with no timeouts left. Motion Smith out. Croft over the middle and incomplete. Like a miscommunication with Johnson. 2nd and 10.
I'd have to imagine they're going to try to target Tyler Johnson throughout the course of this drive. You go back to the 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns by Croft versus Michigan State. He was a big part of that.
Croft in trouble, able to step out of it. Looking for the sideline, and he will get there. Tackled by Ben Neiman with 1:08 to go. It's 3rd down and 4.
It's the ability that Demry Croft brings to the quarterback position that he's not that much better of a runner than Connor Rhoda, but he's a bit more dynamic. And you can see that again in the limited experience that we've seen him so far this year. He's demonstrated that ability to scramble and pick up yards with his legs.
Croft to the sideline. It's incomplete. Intended receiver was Mark Williams, and they're down to their last chance, 4th down.
Mark Williams just couldn't get both arms underneath the football to secure the catch. Interesting that they felt like they needed to take a shot there. I kind of thought they would just go for something shorter, find the hole in the zone coverage, get the 1st down, and then start taking deeper shots after they got to gain 1st down. Now on 4th down, they have to convert.
Croft in trouble and sacked. Anthony Nelson got to him to seal the deal for the Hawkeyes.
How about the job of this Iowa defensive front? A Minnesota team that has protected their quarterbacks all year long, but time and time again they've stepped up. Number 98. That's just a little rip move once he gets the speed rush going to the high upside shoulder of Schluter.
And Kirk Ferentz's team is going to escape here with a win. This would be the 3rd 17-10 game out of their last 4. The first one where they come out on the right end of it. Losses to Michigan State and Northwestern by that score. But they'll beat their rival in this one.
97 times now, 8 fewer points their games have been decided in.
Yeah, since '99 when he took over. And the gauntlet begins. Ohio State comes in next week, and then they travel to Madison on the 11th.
It's going to be a big one in Madison because that's going to be one of the last couple tests that Wisconsin has as far as they're playing the Big Ten West, trying to get to the Big Ten championship game.
3rd straight win in this series for Kirk Ferentz and the Hawkeyes. They hang on to the Floyd of Rosedale trophy for at least one more year. Come over and protect it. There's no real field storm in this case, but the team already owns it. They'll hoist it in front of this crowd of close to 70,000. Final score, Iowa 17, Minnesota 10. Now let's get you to UFC Fight Night in Brazil. So long from Iowa City.